new edition of Spec the Truth, brought to you by Earlymark, where innovation meets precise specification. Today, we're joined by Colin Picton from Fosroc to unpack a critical topic in construction and waterproofing, system compatibility, and why products that appear compatible on paper don't always perform together in reality. Fosroc supports architects, consultants, contractors with fully tested construction system design to minimise risk and improve long-term performance outcomes across projects. In this conversation, we're going to cover off on risks of mixing products from multiple manufacturers, common chemical and curing incompatibility issues, and the challenges that can arise once follow-on trays introduce additional finishes and coatings. We'll also discuss the value of proactive testing, coordinated system design, and why a systemised approach can help reduce failures, disputes, and uncertainty on site. That's a fair bit, Colin. Are you happy to get into it?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Excellent. First question, why is system compatibility such an important consideration in waterproofing and facade construction projects?
I think what we're trying to do in all of that is battle a lot of environment and climates and UV and all sorts of stuff, and it's very important that we get this type of stuff right. I kind of think of our own business. We get involved with textured coatings on slab edges, and architects like to make slab edges their signature piece and nice colours, etc. So it's important that the waterproofing is compliant and the coating does the job it's supposed to do and looks the way it's supposed to do too. And we've got to make sure those two systems are going to work together for the term that is required, and it's no good supplier A and supplier B coming together at the wrong time to find that one slides off the other on a vertical surface. So it's absolutely imperative that coatings over waterproofing, and I'll include sealants in there as well, are fully tested. And everyone knows what they're going to do ahead of time, rather than the dangerous time when you find out it doesn't.
And do Fosroc test different systems working together? So within the Fosroc product range or system range, do you test how different systems work together?
So Fosroc, as the business we're working within the Dulux Group environment, and there are other products available to us as part of a broader offering, and that's where testing our products with beneath or over the top of Fosroc of Dulux products. That's where we hit the sweet spot at times, especially for slab edges. So yes, we have internal testing. There are other third-party testing houses available as well that can do the independent testing, but we are confident with our textured finishes over the top of certain waterproofing, not all waterproofing. We're not saying that. That provide the outcome that your clients require.
And once again, reach out to yourself, Colin, or the team at Fosroc to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
Nice and early, and let's make sure that you're putting together systems that are going to not only visually align with the designer, but also performance as well. Colin, what risk can arise when projects combine membrane, sealants, renders, coatings, and finishes from multiple manufacturers?
I think it's kind of weird, isn't it? Logically speaking, we must be one of the few industries that does this. If you wouldn't expect, a Ford car with a petrol engine from Holden inside it, and with then diesel put in the tank to work, but we expect primer from supplier A to work with membrane from supplier B, with a sealant from supplier D, and a textured coating for supplier D. It seems to be illogical, but we do it regardless. So I think the problems are pretty obvious. Adhesion or long-term adhesion, something might stick for the short term, but there's no long-term adhesion testing, and that's construction's in the long term, it's not in the short term. So I think it's important that all that testing we talked on the previous question is done, and really we work with designers to understand what the challenges are. They understand from us what the technologies can do on their own or together, but we have that open discussion about what's going to work, what's not going to work, so that we avoid the inevitable, which is failure.
And why would a designer or why would a contractor mix and match, for a lack of a better term? Is it just cost, or in your opinion,
there's a number of issues. Certainly cost is always going to be in there, and that's inevitable. There's going to be I've got my favorite coating supplier, I've got my favorite waterproofing supplier, and that's always an issue. Putting in the hands maybe of a third party like an applicator to do the whole lot, that could be a part of the issue, and that's really about control on site. Oversight overseas specifications could be another one. We've talked about that on previous podcasts. So making sure that everything we're working with we know about, and the technologies work together. So I think it's so many things, it can't be nailed down into one. But what I would advise is that if you're dealing with reputable companies, those reputable companies will give you the advice you need to overcome your challenges, rather than just sell something which is no good to anyone.
No, and Colin, what are some common examples of chemical or curing incompatibility that you've seen that's led to possible system failure?
It's pretty simple things like painting over the top of a sealant. A lot of people whack a polyurethane sealant in there, often don't let it have time to cure properly, and then paint over the top of it, and you end up with cracking and crazing on the sealant. You can use cheap silicons in facades, and then the plasticizer in the silicon bleeds out into the concrete, so suddenly you've got staining on your concrete, things of that nature. If you use the wrong sealant as a caulking underneath waterproofing, those two membranes may react. So that's not a good plan either. So make sure you understand if you're putting silicon underneath a polyurethane, you might get some reaction. So there's a lot to think about, but we as all reputable suppliers, we're here to help, and we're happy to help.
Yeah, and I suppose that my next question is why is proactive compatibility testing before installation so important compared to trying to resolve it after failures occur?
I think we've all been on a site where the client's been there and something's not gone quite right. That conversation can't be an easy one from a designer's point of view, or a specifier's point of view. No. You're there to provide the client with the outcome the client requires or wishes for, and it's kind of incumbent on you, I think, to have those conversations, and to make sure you're going in a direction that works for the benefit of all, rather than just the person that's trying to sell something. Decorative finishes are a big thing in our business, and our broader Dulux business, and we don't want those ruined by incompatibility. So that conversation very early is far better done than very late, because it's a very difficult one to. We all know it's more difficult to put something right after it's gone wrong than it is to get it right first time.
And I also even feel there's if you're the contractor that's gone through and maybe not gone off spec and put this mix match system together, or if you're a specifier or a designer that's done it, I feel like there's almost even a loss of reputation as well. Like if you're getting this wrong, it can't look good just from a general business standpoint.
There's a number of issues there. You're right. Reputation, I think, is what you're saying, and that reputation hurts all of us. Everyone remembers the one that went wrong. They very rarely remember the one that went, or the many that went right. But it's a pretty basic statement. But the only people that win are going to be the lawyers, and everything else is going to struggle. But that early consultation with us. Or conversation with us really wins the day.
It is, and it was similar as we discussed on our previous podcast we did, Colin, and that is communication so key. Reaching out to the team at Fosroc, we have Fosroc, their spec team, technical teams, details within the platform. So when designers watching and listening to this, when you are in Spec Suite, documenting your project, we have Fosroc's details, so it's super easy just to pick up the phone or send an email to go directly to the people that you need to speak to get accurate information or get clarity on what you might be looking to choose in your next project.
Yeah. The other thing we do get asked a lot is about that third-party testing, and we know a lot of the people involved, and they're growing, and we're obviously happy to provide information, because we won't have, we can't test everything against our materials. There's new materials coming out daily, weekly, so there's always going to be that issue of, well, you could trial something, but you kind of need to keep an eye on it. But there are organizations that can do that for you. Technologies we'll always have a kind of a handle on, or a kind of a view on, but actual material A on top of material B, we can help get the right people to do that testing for you as well.
No, terrific, Colin. And last question, what are the key benefits of taking a coordinated or single system approach when specifying waterproofing or facade systems?
I think the word I'd use is comfort. You have the comfort that you've gone down the right line or right track. You've consulted. All of your systems work together. You know you're going to get a more valuable warranty. I mean, we talk about warranty a lot. In the industry, the warranty word is bandied around a lot. A valuable warranty, one that's worth the paper it's written on, is very important. And I think that provides the end user with the comfort that they require, and the comfort that they know what they're getting all works together like a jigsaw in effect, and will be durable. And that's what we're here to do, to provide durable outcomes.
No, excellent. So I think in summary, when it comes to system compatibility, when everything's fine until it isn't. So reach out to the team, as I mentioned. Speak to the team that do this all day, every day, and put your mind at ease when selecting Fosroc, waterproofing system, facade systems. Just cover yourselves. And Colin, it's been wonderful once again to catch up and discuss Fosroc systems. We really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks for your time too.